Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How you doing? I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. Today, we are going to talk about something a little different. I got some cool video ideas that just sprout from the ground. I'm like, we're going to talk about them. So today, we are going to talk about books for men. What? Men read? Oh my gosh. I got a video about that in the future. Don't you worry. I want to name a couple books or series. Most of these are kind of series. There is some standalones in this that I think are very good for men to read. Now, am I saying every man should read this? Sort of. I sit back and really think about like what books really helped me understand masculinity, being a leader as a man. Like what is traits in books that have really taught me and resonated me to become a man? Because sometimes in your life as a man, you don't really have a father figure to have and look up to. You have to rely on other sources for that masculine trait you need in your life. So I decided, let's look at some books that really helped me grow as a man. Now, like I said, a lot of these are really relatable books, and a lot of them are kind of the same because these really helped me grow. Some of them I even have tattooed on my body because of how much of an impact these books have made on me. And honestly, some of them are as recent as last month of how powerful some of these books have been for me, which is an awesome thing to have. So let's get started. This one's a pretty quick, easy one. I think this is a true one that really helps to devote to what leadership is and sacrifice, having a strong friendship, a good, strong friendship, a bond with your fellow men, I guess. And that is The Lord of the Rings. The cast is majority of men. You got once in a while, you got some women in there. But when it comes down to it, it has all figures of what I think men should be, and it really portrays all of it. You have Aragorn, Boromir, Frodo, Sam, and they all deal with their own little tidbits that make them grow and expand as characters. And at the end of the day, yes, does Boromir betray everyone? Yes, but Boromir also makes a sacrifice at the end to redeem himself. He does the sacrifice to make sure everyone else is safe. Even though he doesn't save Pippin and Merry, but he tries his hardest to save them. And that is a really big thing at the end of the day. Same thing with Aragorn, where Aragorn didn't want to accept being the king, but the whole time he truly was the king. He always was that leader that he never wanted to be. But it took him a long journey and see him grow as a character to become that king. Now, I think the movies do a little better job with a lot of these things, because I think Peter Jackson just makes Aragorn more of the main character. Compared to how Tolkien wrote the books just seemed like there wasn't really a main character as much compared to the movies, which is fine. I think the movies are still really good, and how they portray a lot of things in this is very good. And then you got Frodo and Sam. Sam is the definition of never giving up on your brother, and that's what a really powerful thing is. Sam does every single thing he can to keep Frodo going, even though when Frodo's dealing with his deepest, darkest parts of his entire life, Sam is there. And I think that's a really important thing, because I've been seeing a lot of things of just men being, lonely and depressed, but when you have your one homie, your one friend that constantly is keeping you going, your life becomes a little better. You start to grow a little better. You start to feel a lot better. And I think that's a really important thing in this. And I think that's just why Lord of the Rings, till this day, is still always a top 10 in fantasy list. It will always be. Now, when I do a fantasy list, it probably won't be my top 10. It'll be like an honorable mention, but it's always going to be there. I love Lord of the Rings. I have a tattoo of it behind my ear. I really do. But to me, when I make a top 10 list, I always feel like it's pretty obvious to put Lord of the Rings in there. So that's probably why I won't do it. Doesn't matter. That's for a different video. But yes, I think Lord of the Rings is a very good definition of masculinity, a very healthy thing of masculinity. Another one, I haven't read the whole series yet, so I could be completely wrong by the time I get to the end of it. But this is a series that you can gradually just read and not have to commit to it. And the show's really good too. And that is Reacher. The Reacher series, definitely watch it on Amazon. It's a really good show. Or just read them. They are really fast-paced books. They're like, for mass paperbacks are like 400 pages, but regular hardcovers are like 250 pages. They're really short reads, but I think with this, it shows a really good element of masculinity, being the quiet type and just doing the job, and then you can slowly open up to people who you trust. Reacher doesn't really show who he is until he really trusts people, and you do get to meet people that he has met in the past, and he does open up a little bit to them. He does show just little onion peels of how he is. But when times are tough and times have to get ready to go and he has to get things done, Reacher's gonna get the job done. And I think that's a really good of just being stoic in a way, where you have to push away your emotions sometimes and get things done. When things are serious, you have to get things done. You have to push away those emotions of the what ifs and do what you have to do. And I think that's a really good thing to show for Reacher. It's a very protective nature, I think, that should be portrayed personally. And I really do enjoy that element. This one is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I read this one back in, I think, December. So I'm slowly getting into Cormac McCarthy, and I was going to put No Country for Old Men in here, but I decided to only put one of his books. I only read 2 of his books, and I decided this one is way better to show for masculinity than No Country for Old Men. It's not even close. But Cormac McCarthy does something in both these books to show different elements of masculinity, which I think is really cool. And I think The Road is something that I think a lot of men should read for fatherhood, which is something that I feel like is getting a lot better than it once was. I think fatherhood for a lot of young men that are becoming fathers, they're trying to do what their fathers didn't do, which I think is a really good element. I don't see any issue with it, but I think The Road just shows the sacrifices of what a father is willing to do for his son. He's willing to even give up his own life to make sure his boy is safe. Any element in The Road that the man does for the boy is only for the boy. He doesn't care about his own body. He only cares about the boy. And it's such a sad, depressing world, but the way that Cormac writes these two characters, it's so powerful of just fatherhood, of what the father is willing to do for his own son. Even when his son blames him for what happened to his mother, it just still, the father understands all of it, but he only wants what's good for his son. And I think that's a really powerful thing. There's a lot of people, and I truly do feel bad for people that had a really terrible childhood because of their poor father or poor mother, and they don't know how to really reflect on a lot of these things. And it's so depressing. And I do advise a lot of people to read books like this that really do portray fatherhood so you can adapt those kind of skills to your own children, so you don't keep bringing down generations of being a terrible father like your father before you. It's just something you don't want. I grew up in a household with not the greatest father, and luckily my mom moved on and found a man that is my father, who is my dad, that took me in and raised me as a man who I am today, and I'm proud of that. So it is important. I think The Road is a very important book for men to read. And all these books women could read too. I'm not sitting there saying these are only for men. Like, I don't know. I think any book is for anyone. But in general though, I think this is a really powerful book for men to read. I think, especially like I said, for fatherhood. Oh man, I don't even have kids, but it's deep. So we're gonna switch to a manga. This is a manga that got me back into anime, which is interesting. I was gonna put Dragon Ball Z on here, but I decided not to. I think Dragon Ball Z is a really good example. I want to talk about Attack on Titan for a moment. So Attack on Titan, I'm not gonna do spoilers because it is arguably one of the greatest animes of all time. There's gonna be a lot of people are gonna say no, it's not, because of the ending. The ending was fine. The ending kind of made sense for character reasons. We're not gonna talk about that until I actually start reading Attack on Titan again. I want to do it just for YouTube purposes, and it's really good. But Attack on Titan, you follow the main character named Eren Yeager, and you learn throughout this whole show the sacrifices of what Eren is willing to do. He starts off as a very emotional little boy just because of what happens to him as a kid, where you kind of don't like him, and how he acts out is because he doesn't understand how to be emotional. He doesn't know how to control his emotions and feelings or anything like that throughout the whole show. And then towards the end, he changes. His whole persona changes, and he's almost dead inside because he understands what he has to do, but every single thing he does in this is for his loved ones. Now, is it a good thing for Eren to lash out and act like a child? No. But this is a very good story to show you how, if you are kind of relating to Eren and understanding that how Eren became so emotional over things and so rash over so many things that almost killed so many people. Well, he has killed a lot of people, but that can teach you maybe you shouldn't do these kind of things. And the way that Eren sacrifices every single thing that he knows, especially at the end of this. And that's what I'm saying is, like, the ending of the show portrays of what Eren was willing to do for his loved ones. And that's what matters the most. I think being sacrificial of what for the greater good, for your friends, for your families, for everyone, is a very important key thing you should have. There is times where, as a man, you have to sacrifice certain things in your life for your friends, for your family. And I think Attack on Titan does do that, but so extreme because it's the show. But what Eren does is you can definitely relate to that emotion. It's so deep. This is another one. I read this one last year. I think it was September of last year. And that is The Catcher in the Rye. Wow, this book is deep. When I made the video for that, a lot of people commented like, reading that as a kid, you didn't really get it, but as an adult, you definitely understand. And you're just following the life. It's literally like a weekend with this main character named Holden. Holden gets expelled from another school. He's basically just a loser, but he is so hateful, so everything, that he actually misses the beauty of life. And he's so young when this is all going on that he thinks he's just gonna do all these things and he's gonna be so content. He's so just judgmental, so hateful, just so every single thing you don't want to be as a human, that's Holden. Every single person, man or woman, that reads this can definitely relate. And I've said this before, if you don't see anything wrong with Holden, it's a you issue. This is you should probably rethink your life. But with The Catcher in the Rye, while Holden is doing all these things, you learn so much of what I think a lot of men really truly go through in their life, where they do feel like the world is against them constantly. Am I saying that women don't deal with this either? No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is these books I'm talking about are dedicated towards men. So there's that. I feel like when I was reading this book, there's just so many things I could relate of what Holden was going through. As a man, just so many things are just constantly weighing down your shoulders. The spitefulness of your siblings all succeeding around you, and you're basically just a loser. Your little sister is telling you that you are just becoming a loser and you are just rethinking your whole life, and you wanted to try to lose your virginity because you wanted to be cool just like everyone else, but you are too scared to even do that. And just the sheer depression weight that Holden really puts down on you in this book, it's kind of insane of how deep and layered and flawed Holden is as a character for a book that's barely 250 pages. The weight and amount of just everything that Holden has, you can feel it just pouring through those pages. And as a man, you can relate to every single thing that he's doing. There's so many elements in this book that I myself related to when I was 16, 17 years old. Was I a dropout in school? No, but there's just a lot of elements that Holden was dealing with that I myself was like, oh my gosh, this is what I dealt with. The reality of it is, that's just life. You're gonna deal with these kind of things in life, and you either A, do what Holden does and just cry about it, or you get better. And that's kind of what happens at the end of this book. Holden really opens up his eyes to become a better character, become a better person eventually. So that's why this book is just so deep, and I wanted to put it on here just to talk about again, because The Catcher in the Rye is a beautiful, depressing book. I think that's the best way to explain it. I have 3 left on here, and a lot of them are the same, so I'm just gonna name all 3 of them and then talk about each one because they all kind of go through the same journey. In a way, like in the manga world, everyone talks about these 3 as like the big 3. That's not for shonen. I can't think of the other studio off the top of my head, but these are the big 3 for that, and that is Vinland Saga, Vagabond, and Berserk. All 3 of these attack masculinity in 3 different ways, and each character approaches it in 3 different ways, and they all resolve their issues in 3 different ways, but it all ends up being the same. I think Berserk's not done, neither is Vagabond, and neither is Vinland Saga. But where each character is right now, you're learning how they healed. They all go through very tough things. They all are fueled by rage and revenge and wanting to kill that one person, or becoming the best samurai under the sun, or learning I have no enemies. All 3 of these mangas have their own sayings, and they all can relate to you completely. One is, I only fight for myself. Invincible under the sun. I have enemies. 2, I only fight for her. Invincible is just a word. 2, I have no enemies. All 3 of these are so deep and meaningful that they literally just embark who I want to be as a man. The ability to sacrifice, to learn, and to use your aggression and understand that your aggression should not be lashed out at others, that instead, a peaceful, calm mind is the way to go for every single thing. Is there going to be moments as a man that you are going to be aggressive and you are going to be mad and angry? Yes, but there's ways to control it and to release it in a better way that these books show you those kind of ways. Musashi in Vagabond, all he wanted to do is become the best swordsman, and instead he learned that his aggression that he was constantly using, his rage that he was constantly using, was his biggest disadvantage. The story just shows you from his first volume to where he is right now, of just the sheer impact of him calming his mind, opening his mind, being one with the sword and not being angry. And he becomes a whole new character in just a year. In 1 year, you can truly change from who you once were to being invincible under the sun to invincible is just a word. It's truly a beautiful thing that goes on in this. And in Vinland Saga, you have Thorfinn, who wants to seek revenge. All he wants to do is kill his enemies, every single one of them. He doesn't care about nothing else. To being a slave, living on a farm, and being depressed and hating yourself, to finding friends and family and growing and realizing you truly have no enemies. Your father was correct. You have no enemies. Because why do you have enemies? You don't fight. Who are you trying to kill? Why are you trying to kill all these people? And it's just such a groundbreaking thing that just tears you up just thinking about it. And then you have Guts, who, oh my gosh, there's so many people that just love Guts. And don't get me wrong, I love Guts too. Like, his character arc is, all three of these are just amazing character arcs, and it's just truly beautiful watching them all. You have Guts, who out of the three of them Musashi is Argo. You can argue, you can debate with who has the worst life between those two, but I think Guts definitely has the worst life. But Guts is born out of Guts. Like, they find a baby that was in Guts. Disgusting, that's why his name was Guts. Get a man that's so focused on just fighting and killing, revenge, and nothing else, only cares about himself. And then he meets a girl. And that's how it is. As men, when we start to love and care for a woman, our emotions of just every single thing we want to do is to protect them no matter what. We will literally sacrifice anything to be with this girl. And that's what happened with Guts. When he meets Casca, it's not very good at first, but he starts to become vulnerable to her and open up, and he shows her his true self, and that's who she falls in love with. That's who he falls in love with, is Casca, because of what Casca does for Guts is so beautiful. And Griffith is an evil man. If you've read Berserk, you know. Throughout this whole series of all three of them, you learn so much of deep emotional pages in these books that makes you just care about these characters more than you ever thought. And that's why I think these books are really good for men. I would argue that all these are really good books for men, or just anyone in general. These are things that I think a lot of people can approach and attack and read and learn. Oh my gosh, I could just sit here and just talk about Vinland Saga, Berserk, and Vagabond probably for hours. And I will be doing a video about those three in the future. Don't you worry. But in general, though, those are 8 book/series I think are really good for men. Now, do I think there could be more on here? Absolutely. Maybe I'll do a part 2 in the future when I read more books that I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, these are really good for men. I will definitely do that in the future. If you guys made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. What do you guys think about the books I picked for men? Do you agree with these books, or do you think these are not appropriate for men? I would love to know down below. And if you have any other books that are really good and relatable for men, let me know down below also. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay humble, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay weird.